Two, Gita and I hadn't at that stage got all the language in, 2 or 3 years. When I got to ANZ, it was tight. It was really tight. There it was like, whoa, can't use that one again. People would go, and you have all these reactions. And so it was a bit messy. The first couple of days were hard going. I was exhausted during the day. I was facilitating it with Gita. At night we'd go to bed. And I remember on the 3rd day, something just broke. And they all started to get it. And we moved into a completely different space in the workshop. Completely different space. And it was an amazing experience. And that night, it might have been, I think it might have been a 4-day workshop, and this was the 3rd day. And that night, we had a dinner. And, outside, it was lovely Perth summer. And everyone was just laughing and singing, and it was like, part of it was like challenging you to do the unthinkable thought, and so they challenged me to sing. So I got up and just sang, there's a place for us, and it was scary for me to do that a cappella in front of all these fucking engineer people. There were women. There was about, I think it was probably 5 or 6 women over the 20 or something.
They didn't know you'd been in the Bunbury Choir, though, did they?
They didn't know that. I handled myself reasonably well, and the crowd went wild. But it was a weird feeling for me. I remember feeling challenged by it, like they were challenging me, and I stepped up to it. But I felt a little uncomfortable, and it was good, and it worked. But I remember the feeling of, I'm asking them to do this, and now they're asking me. It was a sort of really interesting dynamic. Step out of my comfort zone, and I feel much more comfortable today doing that. But then I'd never done anything like that, like sang in front of a bunch of business people at a bloody business meeting, sort of. So.
And where was this? Was this? Did you say this was at a golf course in Perth?
It was in Joondalup. They call it Joondalup Golf Course. It's like this beautiful resort just north of.
Right. Yep.
Sure. There were 2 places we went. It was either that one or another one. It was really upmarket, and, we had it to ourselves during the week. And anyway, it sort of broke, and the whole thing was, people were getting it, and it was an amazing day, and that night was an amazing night, and everyone was laughing and singing, and, and then I went to bed.
Even the Dutchman?
Everyone. And then, there were a couple of the guys that were like the toughest nuts. Like the bigger they are, the harder they fall. There was a couple of guys, I'll get names, someone Brown, it was a real hardcore. And he became one of our biggest supporters, and, it was fantastic. But, we'd had we had a few rough moments, and people saying, I'm not sure I want to be here. And it was rough the first couple of days, and the 3rd day broke, and that night I went to bed. I don't know if I've ever told you this story, David, but it was a dramatic thing that happened. So I went to bed, and I woke up in the middle of the night, like sweating profusely, and I was, thanks, butterfly. Thank you. It's my cup of tea coming, David. So, perfect time. I woke up, but I wasn't me. I was a Jewish leader in southern France in the Qatar time, and I was on the rack, and I was being persecuted by the Inquisition type characters for defending my beliefs, and they were trying to find out where I was keeping the holy books or something. and I was being torn apart, basically. And I could feel my body being torn apart. It's like my hips were burning, and then they stuck a big, like, to quarter me sort of thing. They stuck a big spear in, and where the spear went in, I just got this incredible burning, like, rash sensation. Anyway, I was freaking out, so I called to the room of one of the other facilitators and told them what was happening. And, you know, being the facilitators, they were like, and they did all this sort of past life stuff as part of their programs that they do. So, you know, grabbed the other one, and the two of them came to my bed and sat with me and got, you know, cold towels, wet towels, and put them on me, and I was drying in like 10 minutes from the heat of the pain body coming out of me. And this went on for a couple of hours, and I essentially relived my death from trying to bring love and understanding, because I was a tolerant, open Kabbalist Jewish leader who'd been working previously with the Cathars, who were much more open and da-da-da. This was the feeling I had about the whole thing. And I was being persecuted. And this went on for a couple of hours, and I went through this sort of very, very somatic feeling, dramatic, somatic sort of, and I died. And I let go. I completely just died. I went through all the pain of death. I was screaming out. I was feeling all the pain in my body. And then the facilitator sat with me for a while, and then another one happened. It was a smaller one, a lesser one, but it was in a snow camp, and I was tied to a post in the snow, like, you know, my arms tied to posts, and people were abusing me and humiliating me in this freezing cold, and I'd obviously been put there to die, and, you know, people were coming and whipping me and hitting me with things, and I was just like a bruised, broken body. And then they'd go away, and others would come, and then they'd go away, and this went on for, you know, days in my memory till I died. And again, it was, the feeling was that I'd been some form of, you know, bringing love to the world type thing. And I had, you know, obviously upset somebody, and I was being killed for it.
Do you know do you have a sense of what century and where that was?
I don't. It seemed older. Poorer, you know, more villagey, sort of, you know. I don't know where it was or anything. It was very, and anyway, so the background to this, David, was that, you know, this story I told you where Gita would, you know, sit with me and ask me lots of questions. I think I told you that story, and then, you know, sit quietly, and she asked lots of questions, and one of them was, would you be humiliated for this work? Would you be ridiculed for this work? Would you die for this work? And I'd say no, no, no. I'd say yes to 47 and no to those 3. And she'd say, well, we've got a lot of work still to do, don't we? And I had this, when I started this work, I had a visceral, deep fear of being killed for this work. Like, killed in an ego sense, like humiliated, ridiculed, and killed physically. And so much so that at times, when I first got onto wanting to do it, you know, it was about, I have to look at the exact dates, but it was about the time of the Mexico conference type stuff. I remember lying on the floor of my room in Darling Point, you know, in the fetal position, shaking from the fear of doing it. Knowing I had to do it, but afraid I was going to die for doing it, that I was walking to my certain death. That was the feeling I had.